This is my Google Pixel 7 Pro, and this is my main device. This phone released October 13th of 2022, and it was $899 when it originally came out. I didn't buy it when it originally came out. I actually recently bought this. I think I've had it for a little under 3 months now. I actually replaced my S21 Ultra, which is my previous main phone, because Samsung bricked it with an update and it made the aftermarket touchscreen stop working. And Samsung is just refusing to acknowledge that they did this, and they're just kind of trying to brush it under the rug. So I figured if they were going to do something like that, I just wouldn't use Samsung devices again. So that's why I have a Pixel now. Overall, I actually really like this device. I would say one of the only major downsides is the camera. Compared to the S21 Ultra, I would say the S21 Ultra is a bit better because it has a lot more of an ultra wide zoom compared to the Pixel 7 Pro, and it has a few more sensors that allow a bit more corrections, but otherwise the camera on this phone is honestly perfectly fine for everyday users and even pro users. Other than this moment, I usually use this device to film videos, but I'm currently using a Galaxy S10e. You can kind of see it there, and actually S10e still works perfectly fine for recording things. The cameras are pretty good, and you're not really going to find a phone nowadays unless it's a super budget phone that has a terrible camera. I also really like the display on this phone. So it's a 6.7-inch LTPO OLED screen. I think it's 1440 by 3120, and it's 120 Hz. So it's not really too much different than the stock screen that would have come with this S20 Ultra. Ultimately, I guess it is a pretty standard screen you would find in 2024, or I guess around the time period. And yeah, it does look good. It's nice and crisp and clear, and everything is, perfectly fine. Actually, pretty great. As for a processor, this thing has Google's G2 Tensor chip, and this is basically a machine learning and AI enabled chip, and it's actually not that fast. So here is a Geekbench thing, and as you can see, the Pixel 7 Pro is all the way down here at, 1055 single core and 3174 multi-core. So as you can see, when compared to things like the iPhone 14 Pro, S23 Ultra, S22 Ultra, it is relatively slow. This slowness of the processor compared to competition is almost solved though by Google's very good hardware and software integration. So because Google makes the phone and Google also makes the operating system, obviously they're going to put almost all of their effort into their own devices. Which is why when people use this phone, it doesn't seem like it has a processor that's slower than most flagships nowadays. Because the software is so smoothly integrated that it's honestly, you wouldn't even be able to tell if you didn't know. This thing works perfectly fine. All of the apps I have on this thing, I have never had an issue loading them or even using multiple apps at the same time. So overall, compared to any phone, I don't want to seem biased here, but that's almost a win because it's Google. Google knows what they're doing when it comes to integrating their hardware with their software. I did talk about the cameras a bit, but I guess I didn't mention the actual specifications. So it has a 50 megapixel wide camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 48 megapixel telephoto camera, and the front camera is 10.8 megapixels. And this phone is from 2022, so it's not that old, but the battery has degraded, I would say slightly, but not too much. The original design capacity is 5,000 milliamp hours, but I'd honestly say it's probably at 4,700 now. This thing still lasts all day. The last time I charged this was 4 a.m. the previous day, and it is now currently 1 a.m. the next day, I guess, and it is at 25%. Another upside to Google phones, I guess, is that you pretty much get Android updates first. So I think this is supposed to get 15 and 16. It is currently on 14 though, and it runs perfectly fine. The phone is also 5G capable, like most phones. It has Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, NFC, which most people I don't think use anymore, and of course USB Type-C. The fingerprint sensor on this thing is also pretty good. It's actually, I think, the fastest fingerprint sensor under screen I've ever used. And actually, let's grab some conveniently placed dust and make it a little dirty, and it even still works through the dust. Bonus features: the phone is IP68 water and dust resistant, and it has stereo speakers. Overall, the Google Pixel 7 Pro is definitely very usable in 2024, and honestly might even still be usable for the next 3, even possibly 5 years. So yeah, in my opinion, if you're thinking about buying a Google Pixel 7 Pro, definitely consider it.